Repay. Mazda 3年8分卒業です。
The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with God. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same, in hope, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption to wit, the redemption of our body. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth.
Repay. Mazda 3年8分卒業です。
You guys are cool.
All right. And first and foremost, let me give y'all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Bakakodash, and double ones to the Apostle Edison GMS. And citation to your brother push word truth and sincere four corners. BGMS Mississippi Camp. I'm letting the brother go and take over.
All right. So what we want to get into, with this lesson, this weekly lesson, is vengeance is mine, I will repay. And it's putting emphasis, all right, on the precept in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verses 9 and 10, which is a precept, especially, a few years back, used to come out often, but as we're getting close, to the actual transition from the rulership of Esau, all right, to the rulership of Jacob, well, this prophecy is going to come to pass, okay? And we're getting ready to go through an actual transition of empires, okay, to where it's going to be a new family of rulers in the earth, which are the Israelites, are the elect of Israel under Yahushua, okay? And through this rulership, well, these heathens will be subjugated to the throne of David. They will become slaves and subjugated to the authority of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. You see? So what we're going through now is a major transition in the earth, and everything that Esau even is doing, is to try to keep himself in power, okay? But the Lord got it set up through prophecy where everything he's doing to keep himself in power is really removing him from power, man. And we have to remember, Esau, he's on trial. His rulership is on trial. And that's why the scriptures say there will be an inquisition made in these last days, okay, about Esau Edom. As he's been revealed, to be Esau, he's been revealed to be the wicked, all right, the devil that the Bible speaks of. He comes in the spirit of Satan. He's the nation that the Lord hates. So as all these things are being brought out to the forefront and presented to the world, well, we got to go into the evidence because this is a court setting, and Esau was guilty. So we're just continually coming, with this evidence, all right, on this devil, man. So let's get that in Revelation 13, 9 and 10. And we got a couple videos we want to get into as well. But you got it, bro.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 9 and 10. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword shall be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints.
Yeah, when you go into their precept, the first thing it says, he that have ear, let him hear. And it takes the Rakakadash, the Holy Spirit, to have their ear, you see, to be able to understand the scriptures, man. Okay? And as we understand the scriptures, we know, all right, that there's a vengeance that's getting ready to play out in the earth, man. He that leads in captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Okay? And that's speaking of no other than Esau Edom. But you have to have that ear, that Holy Spirit to understand these things, man. You see? And that's part of the good news of the gospel. That's why we don't got to protest. We ain't got to march. Okay? We ain't got to cry about, Esau doing right by us. No, we know the Lord finna bring this to pass. The Lord finna put this devil in captivity, all right, under Israel, man. You see? So we don't have to, try to get a prison reform bill, or the changes in certain laws to get loans for black businesses. No, we're not interested in that, man. We know according to the scriptures, part of the vengeance of the Lord is to put these people in captivity that put us in captivity, man. But you got it, bro. You get that in Job 4 and 8, and then Ecclesiastes 3 and 15. And we'll go ahead and the video.
Come, this is the book of Job, chapter 4 and verse 8. Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same.
Yeah, so Esau is going to reap everything that he's put out within his rulership. And you look how this man did us as a people. It was a very unjust, all right, captivity, man. He took it too far, because the Lord gave us into his hand, as a punishment to us, man. Okay, but the devil, he was very unjust in how he handled us as a people, man. Okay, because it was already a harsh captivity. We were removed far from our land. Okay, we were subjugated, to this devil, to this labor, But the way he did it was too much. Okay, and it just speaks to his hatred that he has for us as a people, man. You see? So let's get that in Ecclesiastes 3 and 15. So everything that the devil has sown, all his wickedness, everything he did to us as a people, all that's gonna come back. The Lord kept a tab on that, and we in a time where the Most High finna call that tab in, man, on Esau, man. But you got it, bro.
God, this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 15. that which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and the Most High requireth that which is past.
Yeah, and then you look at it, one of these Edomites, their biggest argument, well, I didn't own slaves, I wasn't back then. Okay, no, you or your forefathers coming back. Because you best believe those devils, they were doing all this wickedness, doing chattel slavery, during the late 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. You best believe these devils are back, man, for judgment. It will make sense that the Lord would recycle those spirits right back for judgment in this time, man. So everything that we're seeing and playing out, the Lord has brought everything full circle, man. Okay, there's no new thing under the sun. So these spirits that we see here in the earth on these latter days, well, they're strategically placed here for judgment, and the elect are placed here for mercy and their reward. Okay, and the Most High required that which passed. So let's go into these devils' past, man, and see how these devils moving and operate, during what they call chattel slavery. Okay, but you got play that first video that one of the brothers of mine had, and then I said after we get these videos, Y'all brothers got it.
Welcome to the History and Focus channel. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more
Is it
videos.
pulling?
What would you do if you discovered that the worst punishments inflicted on enslaved people in the United States were legalized in written code, defended in courts, and practiced with total impunity for 2 entire centuries? Forget what school textbooks told you. The reality was built with branding irons, rope, and forced silence. Here are the 14 most brutal punishments of American slavery. Punishment number 1, the forced treadmill. Labor that served no purpose beyond deliberate suffering. Enslaved people were forced to walk continuously on a mechanical treadmill powered by the weight of their own bodies. It did not grind grain, it did not move water, it served no productive function whatsoever. It was pure punishment, designed to exhaust and humiliate at the same time. The pace was controlled from the outside, the pain from within. The pace of the treadmill was regulated externally by the torturer, not by the legs of the victim. Any stumble sent the shins and ankles crashing against the steps in constant.
Before Jobber, we were making less than $200,000 a year, and after Jobber,
rotation. The wounds opened. The process started again. There was no pause to heal. The treadmill restarted the next day with the same injured legs, the same weight, the same relentless rhythm that did not accept hesitation as an answer. The forced treadmill was not improvised. It was technology imported from 19th century British prisons that arrived at American plantations as a refined instrument of control. Owners who wanted to punish without leaving visible marks on the back found in the treadmill an elegant solution. The body destroyed itself from the inside, slowly, far from the eyes of anyone who was not supposed to see what was happening. In British prisons, the stepping mill required up to 8 hours of forced walking per day, the equivalent of climbing over 10,000 feet of altitude in a single day. For enslaved people on plantations, the duration was determined by the anger of the master, not by any written regulation. The difference between 1 day and 2 days on the treadmill could mean the difference between walking normally and never walking correctly again. The worst detail about the treadmill: nobody needed to strike a blow to apply this punishment. The torturer stood to the side, watching calmly. The enslaved person's own body performed the work of destruction, hour after hour, until the legs simply would not obey anymore. That was the most calculated cruelty of all. It turned the victim into their own executioner. The system could not have been more efficient. Punishment number 2, the iron contraptions. An industry built specifically to torture human beings. Blacksmiths on plantations and manufacturers in the North developed a complete catalog of devices designed to cause pain without killing, at least not immediately. The creativity invested in these devices was inversely proportional to the humanity of those who ordered and promptly paid for them. Spiked collars were among the most common devices in the American South. An iron ring with inward-facing spikes fastened around the neck, not tight enough to suffocate, but positioned to prevent any comfortable rest. The enslaved person could not lie down without the spikes piercing the skin. Weeks wearing one of these guaranteed sleepless nights and raw flesh below the jawline. There were also forced posture structures, wooden and iron frames that locked the body at painful angles for hours or consecutive days. The wrists could be fixed above the head, the knees bent and tied, the ankles secured to stakes in the ground. Doctors of the era documented permanent joint damage after prolonged periods. This was not negligence. It was the stated objective. Excessive weight shackles completed the available arsenal. Chains with iron balls weighing between 9 and 18 pounds were fastened to the ankles of enslaved people who had attempted to flee. The weight turned every step into an additional and continuous punishment. Normal work continued, picking cotton, cutting cane, with the iron dragging along the ground. The cruelty was in the detail. Life did not stop. 19th century records describe devices that progressively compressed the fingers. Gradual tightening screws used as improvised interrogation on plantations. Others cut off circulation at the wrists for hours. Surgeons hired by the plantations documented amputations that became necessary after prolonged use. The owner rarely faced consequences for the result. The enslaved person survived mutilated, when they survived at all. The market for punishment instruments operated openly and without shame. Shops in New Orleans, Charleston, and Savannah sold collars, shackles, and restraining structures like any common agricultural equipment. Illustrated catalogs arrived at plantations by mail with delivery timelines and manufacturer warranties. Torture had a listed price. It was business like any other, just with a lot more blood. Punishment number 3, the barrel of nails. And the testimony reached us because Moses Roper survived to write about what he lived through. Roper was born in 1815, the son of an enslaved woman and her own master, and spent his childhood being resold from plantation to plantation across South Carolina and Georgia. In 1838, he published in London a narrative that described with precision the instruments used against him. The device was simple in construction and absolutely calculated in the horror it caused. Nails were hammered from the outside of a large barrel with the points facing inward. The enslaved person was shoved into the barrel. The lid was closed. Then the barrel was rolled downhill while the nails pierced the skin with every full rotation. The speed controlled the intensity. The slope controlled the duration. What made this punishment particularly brutal was not just the pain, it was the audience forced to watch. Moses Roper described how the owner gathered other enslaved people to witness the ordeal. The message was explicit. Anyone could be next. The audience did not choose to be there, but carried the weight of what they had seen. The torture did not end when the barrel stopped. It continued in the nightmares of everyone. No doctor was called after the barrel. The puncture wounds were treated with salt to disinfect, they said, but the real effect was to prolong the agony for additional days. Roper described weeks of recovery after a single session. In the intervals, the work did not stop. The plantation did not wait. The body had to keep up with the pace of the harvest, injured or not, with or without actual physical capability. The narrative of Moses Roper was published with the support of British abolitionists and became a fundamental document of the anti-slavery movement in the United Kingdom. He described at least 5 methods of torture suffered on different plantations in the American South. Each account was accompanied by a note from the editors, verified and confirmed by witnesses present. The cruelty had a record. The impunity did too. What Roper's records reveal with clarity is that there was no standardized system for these devices. There was unlimited and entirely unpunished individual creativity. Each owner developed their own personal preferences. The barrel of nails was not universal. It was the particular invention of one specific man. What was common to all of them was only the absolute impunity. Anything was possible. Nothing was forbidden. Punishment number 4, forced starvation. Depriving food was a punishment as common as the whip in the American South. The daily ration of an adult enslaved person was calculated at the biological minimum, about 1 pound of cornmeal and a piece of salt meat per week. When punishing through hunger, the owner simply cut that off without warning, without a set deadline. The enslaved person worked the same amount on an empty stomach until the master decided the lesson had been learned. Hunger as punishment had a practical advantage for owners. It left no visible mark. Solomon Northup described in 12 Years of Slave Weeks in which he received only water and raw corn after disobeying an order. The body stayed on its feet. The work kept getting done. From the outside, nothing indicated what was happening. That was exactly what made the method so appealing for those who needed to maintain the appearance of acceptable treatment. Enslaved children suffered disproportionately. On plantations in Georgia and South Carolina, records from the era show that children under 12 received half the ration of adults under normal conditions. As punishment, that ration was cut in half again. Some children stole scraps of animal food because they could not endure the hunger. When they were caught, the punishment became more severe, creating a cycle with no way out. Food deprivation was also used as a tool of collective control. If one enslaved person fled or resisted, the entire quarters could have their rations cut for days. The logic was deliberate, to turn the companions themselves into monitors of each other's behavior. Frederick Douglass described the psychological weight of knowing that any act of personal resistance would result in hunger for everyone around him. Individual punishment became group pressure. The period between Christmas and New Year was the only rest guaranteed by custom. Owners distributed extra food on those days as a gesture of control, not generosity. When an enslaved person committed a serious offense during that period, losing the Christmas food was punishment calculated to humiliate in the deepest possible way.
Every trading guru in your feed has the same 3 things: a rented Lambo, a green screenshot, and a refund policy written by a lawyer.
Northup described grown men crying not from physical pain, but from watching their children go without food on the only days when they had promised it would be different. The physical effects were documented by the plantation doctors themselves, hired by the owners. Records from Mississippi in the 1840s describe enslaved people with clear signs of chronic malnutrition: inflamed gums, impaired vision, swollen extremities. The doctors recommended nutritional replenishment not out of compassion, but out of economic calculation. An enslaved person too weakened did not produce. The line between punishment and permanent incapacitation was managed like a spreadsheet. Punishment number 5, the smokehouse, documented by the formerly enslaved William W. Brown in his 1847 narrative. Brown escaped slavery in Missouri in 1834 and became one of the most important American abolitionists. What he described about the smokehouse was not rumor nor rhetorical exaggeration to move readers. It was direct memory with names and dates verifiable in plantation records. The operation was precise and deliberate. The enslaved person was tied inside a smokehouse, originally used to cure meats, first whipped with the back laid open. Then the owner or overseer lit a fire of tobacco stalks on the floor. The dense, toxic smoke filled the enclosed space with no way out. The enslaved person inhaled concentrated smoke over open wounds, immobilized. Tobacco stalks produce specific and intense smoke, thick, rich in nicotine and irritating compounds, different from ordinary wood smoke. Inhaled by a body in shock from the whipping, it caused convulsions, vomiting, and loss of consciousness. Brown described cases in which the victim had to be pulled out before dying, not out of mercy, but because a dead enslaved person represented an immediate financial loss. The smokehouse had a characteristic that made it especially useful as an instrument of punishment. It was part of the normal and visible infrastructure of any plantation. No owner needed to justify its existence to anyone. No visitor would find it strange to see one. It was just an agricultural building until the door closed and the fire was lit. The torture hid behind ordinary routine. William W. Brown documented this and other practices with a precision that deeply disturbed readers in the American North. His book, published in Boston in 1847, sold more than 10,000 copies in the first years, an extraordinary number for the time. The North read it, voted for politicians who defended slavery, and continued doing business with the South. The information was available. The choice to ignore it was too. Punishment number 6, sexual abuse. The American slave system gave the owner total control
stop it there, bro.
of the enslaved person. Total.
And if you don't mind, bro, go ahead and put the link. Put that link to the video in the chat, Bob Shop. But y'all brothers got it. But you just see, you just see, then there's just a few things, and even this video, it's like another, 18, 20 minutes, of just more, torture tactics of the devil, So, y'all brothers, a few sisters can watch the rest of that, if y'all interested in that. But yeah, whatever y'all brothers got.
Yeah, I got one real quick, bro.
Whatever brothers got some.
Isaiah 14.
Oh, you got it, bro.
You start from the top, right, bro?
Isaiah 14 and 21.
21. Okay, come. So I can
Just getting to the point.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities.
Right. Because the elder had mentioned earlier how these devils try to say, well, we didn't own slaves. We didn't have nothing to do with it. Well, the scripture says different, man. It says prepare slaughter for his children and for the iniquity of their fathers. So these are the same people who were doing these horrendous acts back then, man, who has come back in reincarnation, man. They are their children. That's why the Lord said prepare slaughter for them, because they have to answer for the crimes they have done against the Israelites, man. The Lord said, he was but a little displeased, but these devils further the affliction, man. And all those aspects were really fucked up. But it's something about that barrel, man, that did something to me, man. That is, man, you are a completely evil motherfucker, man, to even just think of shit like that. To do to a person, man. But, at the end of the day, the things we're going to do to them are going to be worse, man. And it's going to be in a righteous way. It's not going to be no wickedness. But, these devils are going to get their fair share, man. They have earned it. The things they have done, they have completely earned the thing that's coming to them, man. The judgment that they're going to receive, man. So for those Edomites, so-called white people, self-proclaimed white people who think that they're exempt because they don't feel like they had nothing to do with it because it was their ancestors, well, that's you coming back, man. So that blood is still upon you. That's all I got, bro.
Come on, bro. Any other brother had something?
I got one. just to back the brother up. Obadiah 1 and 15. Get in the NLT, Baba Kashar. Yeah, because he even said what the even when the doctors came, the malnutrition children, the malnourished children, hey, they had to have some type of medical help. Not just because they needed it. Well, it was like, they were considered a loss of money, So yeah, this devil. Hey, if it was anything that was seemed like any type of mercy, now it wasn't at the leisure for any type of sorrow or type of love, of course, but it was to the point that they'll lose out on money, like commodity. So yeah, Baba Gashai, get that in the NLT.
Okay, I thought I was on mute. This is book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 15. The day is near when I, the Lord, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, will judge all godless nations. And this is also in NLT, Salakia. As you have done to Israel, so it will be done to you. All your evil deeds will fall back on your own heads.
You're backing up that the Revelation also, how they're gonna go into captivity. The Lord is not pleased with these heathens, man. What they've done to us. Our captivity was for a little while, but the Lord is finna gather these nations, and again, we're gonna continue to go into the same thing. But everything the scripture goes into how this devil is finna be paid back double, so render unto him double. The things, the timing, because we've been in captivity about 500 years under this damn devil, man. Just here in this revised kingdom. So the Lord is finna pay this devil back. And then the thing about it is, the Lord is finna slow time up. So this finna be a slow captivity, a slow punishment for this devil, man. And again, that wicked, the fact that you can come up with certain devices of torture, man. Man, the Lord finna pay these devils back, and then that's why how they finna be handled. It's only gonna be just.
Mm-hmm. I got a precept to back you up for what you said, bro.
You got it, bro.
Cause you said when they came to the malnourished children, he didn't do it because he wanted to. He only did it because it was a he was losing assets or losing money, So I'm go ahead and read the precept. This is the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiastes chapter 14, verse 7. If he do it good, he do it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. So if Esau does anything good, he's not doing it, intentionally because it's a good thing to do. Either the devil do it mistakenly, or he's doing it for his own benefit. It's not something he's doing, like you said, because out of love or the kindness of his heart. His heart is full of wickedness. And the devil always declares, that there's many stories on how Esau will wait until his deathbed to declare, like to say, all the wickedness that he's done, and and all of that, thinking that he's gonna have some type of what's the word I'm looking for? Leniency from Yahweh Shema Shai, when that's not how that goes.
Bro. Tarzan, you had something before we get to your next video?
Yeah, let me give me the Jeremiah 30 and 16.
Yeah, I had that one ready for you. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 16. It says, let me get it. You want NLT or KJV? I know you like the NLT, bro. Which one you want?
It don't matter.
Let me get that KJV. This is Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured. All thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all they that prey upon thee will I give for a prey.
I can like the brother Preacher Lamar said, man, you know, that wheelbarrow, that man, I looked at that wheelbarrow, that pissed me off too though. To come up with some shit like that. Now who the fuck would think up some shit like that though? That's how evil these people are, man. But guess what? Esau going to captivity, and he gonna have his partners that he made a deal with. They gonna go in captivity too though. So Esau gonna get exactly what he deserved, man. But that's like you say, bro. That pissed me off too. Push him on a wheelbarrow and roll him down the hill, and you get with them nails, man. That's an evil ass dude, man. That's why Lord gonna that's why Lord gonna do to him, man. It can be justice. It can be fair to us kick Esau teeth down his throat. All right, but that's all I got, bro.
Come, bro. So we're gonna get these next two quick videos, you know, and then I know brothers got people on the comment board we'll get as well. And we start getting these last few scriptures. But yeah, man, this devil. And then it shows you that it was just pure hatred because he didn't even care that he was losing money, that he was destroying assets, he was wasting labor. Especially with that first one we had Jake walking on that wheel, you know, like like he said, Jake, they could have been grinding corn, they could have been doing some type of labor, but he was doing it just out of spite, you know, just for punishment, you know. But that could have been a way he could have used that, you know, for labor. So Esau with him, it went beyond just, you know, money. You know, it was beyond money. It was a deep hatred that he had for the people that he had in captivity, man. You know, and he just took things too far. You know, but yeah, you got it, bro. You play it, whatever video, one of the videos you got, we'll play them back to back.
And if I may, like you say, he took it too far. You know, I got another video going into that. Esau was book breaking. You know, I know we probably not get a chance to play that one, so I'm gonna put it in the chat if that's okay.
Yeah, you'll put that in the chat. Just play them next two, and then we'll
come.
Between 1830 and 1850, approximately 100,000 Native Americans were forced to abandon their ancestral homelands in the southeastern United States and relocate to Indian Territory in present-day Oklahoma. The relocation, known as the Trail of Tears, was a result of the Indian Removal Act of 1830, signed into law by President Andrew Jackson. The Cherokee Nation challenged the act in court, but their efforts were unsuccessful. As a result, the Cherokee and other tribes were forcibly removed from their homes and marched westward on foot, with thousands dying from disease, hunger, and exposure along the way. The Trail of Tears was a devastating and tragic event in American history, forever altering the lives of Native American tribes and their descendants. Today, it serves as a reminder of the destructive effects of forced assimilation on indigenous people.
Attention retirees, if you're willing to be at your computer from 9 a.m. to 10:45 a.m.
That was it on that one.
Come, bro. That was real short. I got the next one already queued up too.
Okay, come. So that was the Trail of Tears. So you can look into the northern kingdom. See, we just going into just a little glimpse, because it's so much. We can get into so much, but we're just going to look glimpses of things. But that Trail of Tears, where he just removed all those, and mainly, Seminole Indians out of Florida, because Florida had that rich plantation land, before that the cotton, the sugar, the tobacco. Okay, Florida had a lot of rich soil, that can grow a lot of cash crops. You see, and those Edomites, those rich Edomites got together, okay, and made a deal with the U.S. government to buy up all their land, while while Reuben, mainly Reuben was still on it. A few Gad sprinkled in there, but mainly Reuben. So that's why now they talk about the Palestinians, but nigga Esau been doing this centuries ago, man. Jake got it first. But these nations, go through what Esau said. We got a century before these other nations, experience what the devil is doing now. Well, yeah, that trail of tears, that was just another monument of the devil's, pure wickedness, man. But you play the next one, bro.
In the southern United States, during the 19th and early 20th centuries, a horrifying practice emerged. The use of black children as bait to lure alligators. This gruesome practice was fueled by the booming demand for alligator hides, which were highly prized for making belts, shoes, and bags. Historical records suggest that the practice began in the late 19th century as alligator hunting became more widespread. Hunters, desperate to increase their catch, may have experimented with various methods, including using children as bait. The belief that children were less likely to be harmed by alligators might have fueled this horrific logic. While the exact number of incidents is unknown, newspaper articles and historical accounts provide evidence of its occurrence. For example, the Washington Times reported in 1908 that 2 black children were used as bait to lure alligators out of their winter quarters at the New York Zoological Gardens. The practice was often advertised in newspapers and other media, sometimes with racist overtones. Some accounts suggest that it was even seen as a form of entertainment, with spectators gathering to watch the hunts.
Say it was sport to the devil, man. And that was just the PG-13 version, man. Esau was doing that out of spite, man. It was a way for him to, enjoy, the death of Jake's children. Because there's one thing, even going back to Herod, that's just Esau's spirit, especially going into those sons, because it was all the Jake boys he was using, for the gator bait. That's in their spirit, man. Even going back to Egypt, they did that in Egypt. You see, and what did Egypt put out a decree to kill all the Hebrew boys, man? So this just Esau's spirit, and even going back to Egypt, dealing with Ham, to control the population of Hebrew boys. So that was a way for him to, hunt for gators, for the sake of, the money from the skin. Okay, but then also a way of population control with the Hebrew boys, man. You see, so this devil has a lot that he has to pay for, because on the flip side, it shows you that the Lord was pissed with us, man. To give us to this nigga. You see, but then Esau, he got carried away with the captivity. That's why real quick, get Zechariah 1:14, and then whatever y'all brothers had. Just real quick, Zechariah 1:14.
It's the book of Zechariah, chapter 1, and verse 14. So the angel that communed with me, so the angel that communed with me said unto me, Thy cry saying, Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy.
So the Lord is jealous over his people. Like I said, he sent us away as a punishment. But then the treatment went beyond the Lord's anger, because the Lord was pissed with us, man. You see? But what Esau got to doing, it was beyond, the Lord's anger. You see? And that's what started to make Esau guilty. And Esau just been building up a tab. As his punishment and his tactics and his torment and his captivity went beyond the anger of the Lord. Well, that's when Esau started to accumulate a tab. All right, that will have to be paid back. Okay, read verse 15, bro.
Verse 15. I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction.
So the Lord was he was displeased with us, man. But it wasn't to the extent that these devils took it, man. And the Lord allowed him to take it, you know, that far. All right. So the Lord will be justified what he was going to do with Esau at the end of our captivity, man. You know, so the Lord played this thing out perfectly, man. You know the Heavenly Father is a master strategic. Okay. So now Esau has a tab, okay, that has to be paid. And all these things that he has done, you know, he was doing it his pleasure, you know, he was doing it in spite, you know, he was doing it just cause, you see. Well, guess what? All they got to be paid back, man. You know, there was a tab for that. And see, this is why we see this third world war, okay, accumulate and escalate, okay, because we know at the end of this war, Esau goes in captivity, man. You know, but that's all I had, bro. Whatever y'all brothers got.
I got 3 real quick. If brother can give me James chapter 2, verse 13. And then from there you can go to Psalms 137, verses 8 and 9.
You said 2 and 13?
Come.
This is the book of James, chapter 2, verse 13. For he shall have judgment without mercy that have showed no mercy, and mercy rejoice against judgment.
Right. So this devil has had no mercy in the monstrous things he have done to the nation of Israel when he had them in captivity, man. Until this day. You know, it's still going on. They're more, you know, secretive, so to speak, with it, a little more slick with it, but they're still doing the same thing. And then they'll be justified when they are caught, you know. But the Lord is going to have an unadulterated judgment to come on these devils, man. You know, complete, pure judgment is going to meet these devils at the door soon, man, very soon.
Yep.
Come on, bro. You can get Psalms 137, verses 8 and 9, and that'll be it for me.
You said 137?
Done. Verses 8 and 9. And you can do it in the NLT too, bro.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 137, verse 8 and 9 in the NLT. O Babylon, you will be destroyed. Happy is the one who pays you back for what you have done to us. Happy is the one who takes your babies and smashes them against the rocks.
So we're going to get our lick backs, you know what I'm saying? This devil, the brother had brought out, you know, using our children for gator bait, you know, cutting the children out the bellies of their mothers, you know, and the list goes on and on. But the Lord is going to put a spirit on us, man, to do things, you know what I'm saying, judgments to the nation of Edom, man. Like I said, happy is he who smashed your babies against the rocks, man. You know, that's going to be a joyous moment, man. And we're not going to feel bad about it. And the Lord is going to put that spirit on us to not feel bad about it, man. Because the things this devil has done since the Renaissance, man, just bringing it back to the Renaissance, has been just completely unmerciful, man. Like I say, he kept taking it further and further, man. You know, the mind that he used to come up with these particular brutal punishments, man, is just, you know, Satan using his tool, man, which is the so-called white man. And they continue to go further and further, just like they're doing today, man. Nothing has changed with this devil, just a different time. Same donkey, different salad. You know, he's steady conjuring up and figuring out ways to pretty much destroy, man. But now his own people are just casualties of war, man. Because the whole objective is still to destroy the nation of Israel. But this devil, his sins are being reported, and the Lord is seeing what's going on, man. And as the scripture goes into, he's going to receive his just due. Okay? He's going to get what's coming to him. And we're hasting that day, man. Because what you go into the scripture said, because thou hast not hated blood, blood shall pursue thee. So bloodshed is coming to this devil, man. Very soon. He's going to get his judgment. That's all I got, bro.
Come on, bro. And then brother had something?
I got about two real quick. Just to back up the brother. Also going into that payback. So Papa Kashai, we get 2 Thessalonians 1:6. And get that word recompense also.
It's the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 1, verse 6. And his justice, so I can get KJV. This is the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 1, verse 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. You want me to go ahead and get it, or you have something you want to say first, bro?
Yeah, you got you go. Just go ahead and get that word real quick.
This is that word recompense in the Greek.
Strong's G 467. Antipodidomi. Antipodidomi.
All right, outline of biblical usage. It says, in a good sense, to repay, to requite; in a bad sense, penalty and vengeance.
Yep. So we got the repayment for everything that he's finna do. You know, that vengeance, and it's finna be a bad sense for Esau. You know, hey, because hey, how he dealt treacherously. You know, with our people, man. You know, hey, and then here it is. Hey, man, this devil, he been on us since the birthright, which we know that the devil is this hatred. This hatred, it started in the womb, man. You know, that battle started in the womb, man. You know, so ultimately is our prophecy, man. Yahweh Shem Yahushua used this devil to basically to put himself in this bad position to where at the end of the day what got to be done about Esau. That's it really ain't nothing to question, because we know the answer. What got to be done with Esau? We understand. Hey, Baba Kashai, get Obadiah real quick. Obadiah 1:18, 16, 17 and 18. Baba Kashai.
There's a little bit more on that for you too, bro. If I may, it says for something received in return and to give back.
And before you get Obadiah, go to Isaiah 14, Baba Kashai, and get 2 and 3.
This is the book of Isaiah chapter 14, verse 2 and 3. It says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall...
Yep.
Go ahead.
Now you got it.
And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captive, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Verse 3. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve.
Because the Lord finna turn that captivity, man. You know, how about Shem Yahushua is really just finna turn the tables onto Edom and the rest of these nations. You know, and we finna deal with these again. Finna deal with these devils, Esau, Edom, and the rest of these nations for 1,000 years of building up the kingdom, man. But Esau finna get it the worst, because at the end of all this rigorous captivity that he finna go through, you know, which is gonna be on a whole nother level, man. Hey, get Obadiah Baba Kashai. Let's see, I think it's 17 and 18.
This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 17 and 18. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their oppressors. Verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh has spoken it.
Yep. And this is the punishment that the Lord is finna bring upon Esau Edom. You know, again, brothers, I would go into that throwaway sword, but that throwaway weapon. You know, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua have made this devil. Basically, we went into his hands. He finna be given into ours, and once we through with him, hey, away with him. You know, good riddance. The Lord finna get ready to burn this damn devil off the earth. One less nation in the earth. Man. So this is where Esau got to look forward to. He got to look forward to being no more as a people in the earth, and that's what we looking forward to. Yeah, but that's all I had.
Bro, Tazo, you had something to close out on?
Yeah, let me get the Zigga 35. Started one in the NLT, all the way down to 6. I would to 7. I mean to 6.
You said Ezekiel 35, 1 through 7?
Yeah, well, 1 through 6 really. Stop at 7. Don't do don't read 7, I mean.
Come. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, starting at verse 1. It says, again, a message came to me from the Lord Yahweh. Son of man, turn and face Mount Seir and prophesy against his people.
It's like and Mount Seir is another name for Edom. All right. Now go ahead, bro.
Verse 3. Give them this message from the servant Lord Yahweh. I am your enemy, O Mount Seir. I will rise I will raise my fist against you and destroy you completely. I will demolish your cities.
See, so the Lord gonna deal with you, man. All right, like the brother already in the Obadiah. Well, Obadiah 18, I think, talking about how the Lord gonna get rid of you. All right, the Lord gonna get rid of you Edomites, man. But go ahead, bro.
Verse 4. I will demolish your cities. I will make you desolate. Then you will know that I am the Lord Yahweh. Verse 5. Your eternal hatred for the people of Israel led you to butcher them when they were helpless, when I had already punished them for all their sins.
And like you know, we're talking about how that first video we talking about all the shit he done to us. The barrel, alligator babies. I mean, they used to put that tar on us and set it on fire. I mean, the list goes on and on. But the Lord punish us, man. But Esau kept it going on and on. He went too far, like the brother was saying. He went way too far, man. All right, but go ahead.
And verse 6. As surely as I live, says the sovereign Lord Yahweh, since you show no distaste for blood, I will give you a bloodbath of your own. Your turn has come.
That's right. Your time has come, Esau. You're going to get exactly what you deserve, man. Since you didn't hate blood, Lord going to give you a bloodbath, man. And they're going to be righteous, man. All the shit you done to us, man, you're going to get your ass kicked, man. All right. But that's all I got, brother, on that. That's it.
Well. Bro. And the point was made. All right. We just wanted to go into these things, all right, on this lesson, because we come into that time. The Lord is bringing everything full circle. We was given into Esau's hand. We was punished. We see what this captivity did. Matter of fact, real quick, let's close on Psalms 119 and 71. Bring full circle. Because I said the devil, had us in captivity, but see, everything worked for the good for the elect. Because this captivity, you know, it taught us to appreciate righteousness, man. You know, it's teaching an elect, a remnant, to appreciate righteousness, man. You know, see, this captivity brought it refined the elect. You know, this captivity had to happen to perfect the elect, because just as Yahushua was made perfect through suffering, we had to be made perfect through suffering, man. You know, so this captivity was necessary, you know, for the elect to be refined, you know, for Esau, all right, to be found guilty of doing too much, all right, and for the Lord to punish 2/3 one more time, you know. So everything, you know, working perfectly according to the Lord's righteous will. So yeah, let's get there. In Psalms 119:71.
God, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 71. You KJV, right, bro?
You read NLT. You read NLT.
Okay. Switch it back. This is Psalms chapter 119, verse 71 in the NLT. It says, "My suffering was good for me, for it taught me to pay attention to your decrees."
Yeah, so just as Yahushua was perfected, you know, through suffering, you know, we during this last captivity are being perfected, you know, and we're being refined. So, you know, this captivity had its purpose. All right. Like I say, the devil, you know, he played his part, you know, and then like I said, he went too far, he did too much, and there's a punishment for that on the back end for him, you know, but there's a reward for the elect. You know, and then even eventually 2/3 is going to get that last punishment. They're going to come back into a righteous kingdom, man. So the Lord had this thing figured out from the beginning. You know, everything is falling in that perfect righteous order that the Lord wanted to fall in. And then the Lord is justified and eradicating Esau as a nation, you know, getting rid of this nigga as a whole nation. So, yeah, the point is made, you know, Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you few sisters edified once again, and give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders, your message to rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutations, hopefully, shalom.
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 Shalom.